And that's the leader there of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen, speaking earlier today at the Cape Town Press Club. And let's now, of course, look at another issue that has been seen by some as a test for the Government of National Unity. That is President Cyril Ramaphosa and his intention to sign the BELA Bill into law tomorrow, a development that has seen mixed reaction from various stakeholders. Now, others say the bill will seek to harmonise relations between school governing bodies and the Department of Education, while others say it removes power from the SGBs. There's also, of course, the issue of homeschooling as well, which is our focus for this conversation. Let's speak to Bouwe van der Eems, who's Homeschooling Specialist. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. Listening to the President earlier on, he says it's all systems go. He's signing the bill into law tomorrow. Your reaction?
Good afternoon, Bunkazi. The BELA Bill is certainly going to create a number of challenges. It's going to infringe on the right of homeschooling parents. So there will be resistance from parents against this. But the BELA Bill places administrative burden on parents to register, to submit assessment reports. But on the other side, it also places an administrative burden on the provinces, because they'll have to process the registration applications, and they will have to process the assessment results and take remedial actions if the assessment results require that. Now, that will require a significant number of fairly senior officials to be appointed to perform all those duties. So we're talking about quite a number of thousands of homeschoolers that now must be administered by the provinces. Appointing a number of officials to do that will require a significant amount of budget. And I think that's going to be a challenge for provincials, provinces, to allocate budget for the administration of homeschoolers and then retrench teachers.
So pardon me, two questions arise from that, for example. So firstly, did these parents, in your view and according to your knowledge, submit their own views when this, the bill was out for public comment?
Oh yes, extensively. I think the homeschooling community exceeded expectations in that. So in 2017, when the bill was published for comment for the first time by the department, the homeschooling movement, which only is about less than 1% of the school population, submitted about 20% of all submissions. The homeschoolers dominated the written submissions, and the homeschoolers often dominated the public hearings, especially in the Western Cape. At some public hearings, the homeschoolers were the majority of people that make oral submissions. So most certainly, homeschoolers made their voices heard.
And I was in conversation with Professor Mary Metcalf earlier on this week, when we heard, in fact yesterday, when we heard about the intention by the President to sign this bill into law tomorrow. And she was saying that while there's a concern that the department may be faced with a burden, and even in some instances the head of department may be faced with a burden, but this is going to be a collective effort of everyone within the department. And you are saying that there will now be officials that need to be added onto the payroll. Do you think that there are no officials who can actually do this work currently within the department?
Well, currently there are quite a number of provinces that do not have the capacity to process any applications. Parents send their registration applications, they get no response. It's only a few provinces that have got limited capacity. But now that it's in law and there's a heavy penalty consisting in the number of registrations might go up, and it might require a significant increase of officials to handle that capacity.
So there's a view, and I'm sure you've seen this, that the bill does not aim to change the legislation regarding homeschooling, but seek to guarantee that every child receives an education that is at least on par with what they would have received if they're in a public school. Your reaction to this?
Yeah, that is quite a problem, because Section 51 requires that parents have to use a curriculum that covers skills and contents that are comparable to the national curriculum. So it actually creates a bit of a conflict. Private schools are required to provide education of which the standard is equivalent to public schools, but standard is not prescribed for homeschooling skills and contents. So it seems to be an effort to enforce contents and skills rather than standards. So I think that's going to be a problem over time.
So what becomes your way forward then?
I think lots of parents will probably go underground. They don't want to take on this administrative burden. So I think it's going to force a lot of parents to go underground, and I think there might be some legal skirmishes from homeschool organizations.
So does it mean then that there could be, if I'm listening to what you're saying, as they go underground, is that potentially civil disobedience underground, possibly?
Well, the registration has been in the law since 1996, and it's only a small percentage of parents that registered since then. So the status quo will just continue.
So if the status quo continues, then the reason I ask is for the future, what happens now? Because at some point, let's say, for example, a parent has found out that they are now doing this underground because they simply do not want to then go and register. And then they have to face the full might of the law and they find themselves in an unenviable position. What happens then?
So in that case, the conflict might escalate to court, and there are parents that are based on the religious convictions are willing to go to jail for their convictions, as happened in the time of apartheid, where the Maintjies family was jailed for homeschooling in the previous dispensation. But the jail sentence is a problem on its own. The Department of Basic Education admitted themselves in Parliament that jailing parents is not an appropriate penalty. So I don't think that's going to solve anything. It's just going to escalate conflict and solve nothing.
So no chance of a roundtable discussion with the department?
I think if the department is willing to engage in meaningful discussion, the homeschoolers will always be willing to engage. We've reached out many times. We had engaged in the public participation. So I think there is, if the DBE is willing to engage and create a new legal framework that gives parents the freedom to exercise and doesn't infringe on the parental authority, there will always be space for that.
All right. Hopefully, as you say, you find one another because you do raise compelling points. They also raise compelling points. So certainly maybe a conversation, just to be had across the table, just to see if you're able to find one another. But thank you so much for your insights this afternoon. That is Bouwe van der Eems, Homeschooling Specialist. And of course, this is all in reaction to the President announcing that tomorrow he will be signing the BELA Bill into law. You can, of course, expect more reaction to this, and we will bring it to you here on SABC News.